All right, let's talk quickly about how to naturally increase your GLP-1 to avoid higher doses and to save money. Now, this is a big one because you can actually naturally increase your own GLP-1, which will greatly help you once you've decided it's time to start titrating down or come off the GLP-1 later, which hopefully that is your end goal. I hope that you've grabbed my free GLP-1 download. It is an ebook that gives you dietary information. I am a qualified nutritionist, so I am qualified to give you information on diet with a GLP-1. And then I also have a paid ebook bundle that gives you specific menu plan, pantry staples, nutrient information about how much nutrients you have. I've put a QR code up here in case you're watching on a TV. I know, look who found out how to make a QR code. So anyway, if you're on a TV, you can just scan that to go and get the free download. I think it's really important to understand that a GLP-1 is not a cure. It is not a cure for weight loss, because eventually what's going to happen is if you still eat the same way and have the same lifestyle as you did before you started taking the GLP-1, your body is going to go through a process of what's called down regulation. And what this means is the receptors that bind to the GLP-1 medication will get so frustrated with being screamed at 24/7 that they will actually start to down-regulate. So they will start to disappear. And this is usually when people start to feel the symptoms that they're trying to cover up come back. So things like food noise cravings, hunger, that sort of stuff, that's when that happens. So it is really best, if you can, not to keep going up as quickly as possible, because you're just going to end up with receptors that do not respond to the medication. And once you get to the highest dose, where are you left then? You got nowhere to go. So in my mind, it makes perfect sense to work with your doctor, have that very individual conversation and make it clear to them, I want to do this on the lowest dose possible, and make it clear to them that you are willing to make changes. Because I can tell you from my personal experience, most people that come into clinic are coming for some magical cure, and they don't realize that they actually have to change. You know, if nothing changes, so to speak. So make it clear to your doctor that you are willing to make changes and you are willing to work with them. And if you're working together, I promise you will get the best result. So what we need to do is focus on unprocessed foods, low carb diet, and especially when you put those two things together, processed carbohydrates are the problem. Here's a little thing for you, a little fact. 70% of our food supply is processed carbohydrates. 70% of people in the world have pre-diabetes or diabetes. What does that tell us? Yes, that is not a proper peer-reviewed study or anything. It is simply a correlation, but I think it speaks volumes about where we're going and why we're there, right? So I would say in order to increase your natural GLP-1, get as much processed food out of your diet, because when you're living on good quality protein, healthy fats, nuts and seeds, high fiber vegetables, and a sprinkling of fruit through all of that, you are going to naturally increase your own GLP-1. Another thing that naturally increases it is bovine collagen. It is known to naturally increase your own incretin hormones, which is where the GLP-1 hormone sits. Also exercise, especially high intensity exercise. So when I say intensity, people sometimes get confused and they think I'm talking about jumping up and down or running or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Intensity refers to how hard you're working. You could have high intensity exercise on a treadmill walking if you put it on incline. That's high intensity because you're working hard, right? You're working the big muscle groups on your body. High intensity workouts are known to switch off your hunger for the next few hours. If you're going to exercise, I would say even if you're only doing it for 10 minutes, try to focus on high intensity, because high intensity will give you the hunger hormone switch off signal. If your blood sugars are out of control, you're probably going to have these hormones all over the place and you're going to feel hungry a lot more often. The one thing directly related to that is a high carbohydrate diet. And I know people hate hearing this because, like I said, 70% of our food supply is carbohydrate, right? But the fact is, if you want to see if you're one of these people that have the carbohydrate hunger cycle going on, I'm going to give you a challenge right now. Go extremely low carb for a week. I want you to journal at the beginning of the week how often you feel hungry, like really take notice. How often do you feel hungry? How soon is it after your last meal that you start to feel physically hungry again? And then at the end of that week, I want you to do the same thing. How long do you feel hungry after your last meal if you don't have carbohydrates in that meal? And then, even better, go and have a very high carbohydrate meal and take notice of how long it is before you're starving after that meal, no matter what it is. It could be pasta, it could be ice cream. But try that and it will show you just how different our body functions when we don't have lots and lots and lots of carbohydrates coming in. So there's my little challenge for the carbohydrate challenge. If you want to learn more about blood sugars and why insulin is so important to control and why blood sugars are so important to control if you want to lose weight, watch this video that I did on the CGM. There is a lot of information in there about how to stabilize your blood sugars and how to get the best weight loss results by stabilizing your blood sugars and insulin levels. Another one that directly increases our natural GLP-1 hormone or our incretin hormones is fiber. Fiber is so powerful. There are a couple of different types of fiber, but if you're eating a wide variety of different vegetables and nuts and seeds, you will get all the fiber you need and you'll get all types of fiber. But fiber is probably one of the best things to decrease your hunger levels. So if you live on a fairly high fiber diet, two things will happen. You won't feel hungry as often. And the other great benefit is you're feeding your microbiome and your gut health will be in tip-top shape. Things like psyllium husk are fantastic for healing your gut. If you feel like you might have leaky gut, if you've got a lot of inflammation, you probably have leaky gut. Toxicities, things like that come just from living a normal life. Your gut layer is there to protect you from the outside world and anything coming in, right? So if the gut layer is not functioning properly, you will have a leaky gut type of thing going on. And then that just causes a cascade of issues to do with the immune system and chronic inflammation. And it can be systemic. It's a whole other issue. But I did actually do a video on psyllium husk and how it can heal your gut. And in that video, we talk also about the microbiome and how to protect your gut. But in this video, here, I'll put the video up here. But in this video, what I want to say is if you're having fiber every single day and you're making sure that you're getting a wide variety of different fibers from different fruits and vegetables and different nuts and seeds, and you're maybe taking psyllium husk, then your gut's going to be in much better health. You'll notice you won't have as much inflammation. You'll notice that you don't have little things like intolerances. And you'll notice that your immune system functions much better. And that's because our immune system, 70% of it, sits along the outside of our gut layer. That just goes to show how closely our gut and our immune system work together, right? So your immune system and the bacteria in your gut are constantly communicating through that gut wall. And it's actually really interesting. What happens is our immune system has these little tentacle-like things that go poke through into the inside of the gut. So the lumen of the gut. I'm going to put a picture up here to show you this. It's one of the ways our immune system communicates with the bacteria in our gut. So you will actually have a much better functioning immune system if everything in your gut is nicely balanced. And the fastest way to get that is to eat a high fiber diet. The other thing you can do too is to start having more fermented foods. So things like kimchi, sauerkraut, tofu, and that will directly feed healthy bacteria into your microbiome. And then they can set up house and have babies and live happily ever after and work for you. Another important thing to increase your own natural GLP-1 hormones is to stay hydrated. It's very important. And that's because when we reduce our food intake, we naturally reduce hydration. And that's because food has a lot of water. When you look at even a steak has quite a lot of water in it. So when we all of a sudden cut our food intake in half, we need to increase our water intake by more than what we would normally. Generally speaking, the general population need to be getting at least 1.5 liters of water a day. I think that is about 33 ounces. I'm not sure. I'll put it up on the screen. But I would say for most people, especially if you're on a GLP-1 now, you need 1.5 liters to 2 liters a day. Now, that can be across your entire day. For me, that includes a couple of cups of coffee in the morning. I always have 1.25 liters of this is it here, of collagen water with electrolytes in it and vitamin C. That comes from my side effects video. There's a recipe in there for you. And then, of course, you're still going to be drinking other water or tea or, whatever it is, not soft drinks, I hope, unless they're sugar-free. Like if you're weaning yourself off and you want to go sugar-free soft drinks, that's fine. But yes, you need a lot of water to make up for the water that you're missing in the foods that you used to have. And another quick couple, Yerba mate tea. I haven't actually seen any studies, but I've heard that it increases your GLP-1 hormones as well. But it is also a very healthy tea to have. It's great for energy levels. If you feel a bit low on energy, yerba mate will work fine. Some people call it mate, but it's actually yerba mate. And then also good quality sleep. Because you would have noticed in the past, if you've had a night where you haven't slept very well, the following day, because you're tired, you're craving more carbohydrates, you're craving sugar, you have increased cortisol levels, which brings our blood sugars up. And cortisol is like the stress hormone in the body. Yes, we have it every single morning. It is a natural thing. It comes out to wake us up and get us ready for the day. But in a stress situation, when cortisol is risen, and especially if it's risen chronically from lack of sleep or too much stress, you will be craving more carbohydrates and that sort of thing, like junky type foods. And that's just the body's way of trying to get enough energy to deal with the stress or to deal with the lack of sleep. Because not getting enough sleep is actually quite stressful for our brain. Okay, I'll leave these videos here for you to watch next. I do hope that this was helpful. Go and watch the video on Psyllium husk if you feel like you want to work on your gut health. That will really help. And also watch the CGM video if you want to work on stabilizing your blood sugar. And I promise you, if you master stable blood sugars, you are going to lose weight much faster, much easier. You're going to have tons of energy and your own GLP hormones will be naturally increased. So you'll actually save money in the long term when you're talking to your doctor about titrating up. All right, I'll see you in one of those videos. Bye.